Learman, Code Enforcement Officer for the town of Grand Island. For more than a year now, a couple of individuals have repeatedly attacked the actions and integrity of the Code Enforcement Department and me personally on social media and AM radio talk shows. While I do not have the time to engage anyone in a Facebook war, it appears that it's time to publicly counter some of the statements that have been made, since remaining silent has not been effective. I'm going to start with Mr. Thompson's repeated claims that I had him evicted from the house he was renting on Bedell Road in 2014. He stated it was a directive from the town board, which is untrue. During the spring of 2014, while performing various inspections at a commercial project in the area, I observed a manufacturing operation was occurring from the front yard and garage of a single-family dwelling. On June 3rd, 2014, I issued a letter to the property owner with a copy to the tenant and the town board. It simply described the commercial activity being observed, cited there was no approval for such use, and requested the activity cease until the required approvals were obtained, further suggesting schedule a meeting with the town staff to discuss further. On June 6th, I heard from the agent or the owner. He advised he had spoken with a tenant who indicated that he had no intention of seeking any approvals from the town. Therefore, the agent was forwarding the letter to his attorney, and since the tenant was behind on the rent, he would probably be commencing the eviction process. I had several more conversations with the owner's agent where he updated me on the status until the tenant vacated the property in the fall of 2014. My point here is that Mr. Thompson was not evicted from the house he was renting by the town. According to the agent, he was evicted for failure to pay the rent. A couple Saturdays ago, Mr. Thompson went on the radio to speak about the former Dunlop building, which, as he correctly stated, has been an eyesore in Grand Island for 3 decades. He then proceeded to state that a developer had purchased the property and was proposing to convert the building into a Holiday Inn Express, which is also true. He then stated that the Building and Zoning Department was holding up the permit to commence the project and that we had been sitting on the project for months. It's important to note that a building permit is issued only after a proposed project is determined to be code compliant. What Mr. Thompson failed to mention is I have been working diligently with the construction manager and architect for the project for over a year, meeting with them both on numerous occasions to discuss various aspects of this project. Unfortunately, partially due to health issues and other unknown reasons, the architect has not been able to provide drawings for the project in a timely manner that demonstrated the project is code compliant. Mr. Thompson went on to state he had claimed we were too busy to do a code review, and continued on to state he only thought we'd issued about 300 permits this year. In reality, as of mid-October, we have issued over 500 permits with a total construction value of $34.6 million. While we have been busy, I have been performing code reviews in a timely manner, providing the architect and construction manager with detailed written summaries of items that need to be addressed to facilitate the issuance of a building permit for this project. Mr. Thompson then brought Carl Palladino into the conversation. Although I have never met or spoken to Mr. Palladino, in very short order they both determined that I was incompetent to do my job and that I should be fired. Carl even theorized that this project was too complicated for me simply because Grand Island is mostly comprised of residential construction. So what are my qualifications to be a code enforcement officer? I entered the construction field in the summer of 1978, working for a small contractor who performed residential and light commercial construction, stopping only to attend school, and have been in the field ever since. I graduated 55 out of a class of 425 from Niagara Wheatfield High School in 1979 with a Regents Diploma with a scientific endorsement. I did well enough on the SATs to earn a Regents Scholarship. Following high school, I went on to SUNY at Alfred, where I earned...
Mr. Learman, we're way over the 2-minute mark.
Yeah?
Can you summarize your comments?
I got a few more minutes.
No, well, I'm sorry, we're limiting it to 2 minutes.
Should we allow?
I think it kind of goes to current events
If
and...
the board can allow them to have more time if they like.
I think it's a little bit different than a public comment.
Yep.
Thank you. I went on to SUNY at Alfred, where I earned an associate's degree in architectural technology, making the deeds list. After college, I returned to working for the same contractor as before until September of 1981. where I had an opportunity to work on a little project on Lake Ontario known as the Somerset Power Project. While I was there, I had a front row seat to what large-scale construction was about. I observed 4 and 5 foot thick concrete walls being constructed, numerous buildings being constructed all at once, including one that was 10 stories underground. That required a blasting and removal of rock to complete, as well as a continuous concrete pour for a 600-foot high chimney. After almost 2 years, our portion of the project was winding down. I declined an offer to work with the contractor because they were traveling from here to Colorado and as far south as Texas. So I returned to work for a local contractor, increasing responsibility from just craftsman's duties to estimating, modular home sales, and foreman's duties. In 1984, I purchased a lot on Grand Island, and in 1985, I constructed the house in which I still reside. In 1987, I was hired by the town engineering department, where I gained valuable experience in public works projects. This included both the design and inspection of roads, storm drainage, water lines, and infrastructure such as pump stations, as well as basic knowledge regarding the operation of water and wastewater plants. It was during this time period that I became familiar with the town hall and government in general, including the basic functions and interconnections with various town departments. In the spring of '91, I was hired by the town board to replace a retiring building inspector, the title which later changed by New York State Code to Code Enforcement Officer. It should be noted that the civil service requirements for this position are an associate degree in engineering construction, fire protection, architectural technology, or a high school diploma and 2 years experience in any of those aforementioned areas, including public health inspection, firefighting, or fire inspection. Since I had an associate's degree in architectural technology and almost 10 years of construction experience, I was more than qualified. In August, I passed the civil service test with a rank of 1. In October of '91, I was certified by New York State to enforce the New York State Building Code. I've annually completed the required continuing education requirements of 18 hours of approved continuing education courses. In April of 2002, I was recertified for the ICC-based codes which were implemented at that time. Currently, I think my almost 40 years of work in the construction field with my associate's degree in architectural technology, not to mention over 26 years actually performing the job of building inspector and code enforcement officer, adequately address the question of my qualifications. Regarding Mr. Palladino's comment about Grand Island being mostly residential community, I would like to respond by stating that with the exception of the Grand Island Public Schools, the state parks, and the post office, we have been responsible for overseeing all the commercial construction that's occurred on Grand Island since '91. Some of the larger, more complex projects that come to mind are numerous large additions and new buildings at the pharmaceutical campus on Staley Road, additions to St. Stephen's School as well as the new church, the current Tops building, the 3-story Marigold Senior Housing Complex, 3 different auto dealerships, an entire new campground, the first Tim Hortons Wendy's combo building constructed in New York State, 2 different veterinarian clinics, an 1,100-foot tall TV broadcasting tower, as well as one of the largest homes constructed recently in New York. The house has over 18,000 square feet of enclosed space, some unique features including being supported on steel piles, geothermal heating system, and a slate roof. My point being, while serving as the town's building and CEO for over 26 years, not to mention my previous experience, I've been exposed to a wide variety of buildings and structures, and am more than qualified to do the code review for the conversion of a 3-story office building into a hotel. I'm happy to state that after a 4.5-hour meeting in Buffalo on October 27th with the construction manager and the architect, enough issues were resolved to issue a permit to commence renovations of the 3rd floor, and a permit was issued for that work on November 1st. Mr. Thompson has repeatedly stated that I have acted as a political hitman for the town board, attacking anyone they direct me to. Then he claims they are afraid of me because I'm the current president of some town hall employees union, which currently consists of 24 employees. Let's do the math. Over 20,000 people on Grand Island according to the last census. Doesn't seem very intimidating to me. Just unfounded rantings of an angry man consistently making false and often conflicting
Mr.
statements.
Learman, I'm going to cut in. I understand your concern.
I'm down to the last sentence.
Well,
In fact, it's very clear to me that Mr. Thompson,
every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And I mean, do we want to make this a forum, but town board, where we have people come in and air grievances?
In fact, it's very clear to me tonight that Mr. Thompson and Mr. Palladino's slanderous personal attacks are nothing less than politically motivated bullying. Shame on them for that. Thank you for letting me.